What's up, Underdogs? We all know that the scoreboard doesn't tell the whole story, right? So today's guest isn't just coaching youth sports. He's building future leaders using the court and the field as his classroom. We're talking early development, sports as a life tool, and how to mentor kids through more than just a game. So let's get it. What's going on, Coach Tim? Welcome to the Underdogs voice, man. How's everything going today?
Man, I'm doing great. I really appreciate it. Thanks for having me on here, man. And I'm really excited to start talking, sports and life and all that good stuff. So
Hey, no problem, man. I love what you're doing. Great connection between me, you, and Coach Tim, and I just love what you're doing. I read over your stuff online, and it's very inspiring to know that there's programs out there like yours.
I appreciate that. Appreciate that.
All right, so let's jump right in. Because I know my underdogs are excited, especially up in your area, to hear what you do and how you can possibly help them out and grow as an athlete. So let's jump right in. So, what sparked your lifelong passion for youth sports and mentorship?
It's a great question. Growing up, I played a lot of sports as a kid. My dad was instrumental in that, just kind of like putting me in sports and stuff like that. And I was just like someone who really liked to like move around. And sports was a great way to do that. It was a great outlet for that. And I would say then once I got to like uh, my senior year and stuff like that, I would say like I wanted to figure out, okay, well, what do you want to do with your life? So
Uh-huh.
then I was like, well, I don't want to sit behind a desk on a computer all day, and I kind of narrowed it down to different things. And one of the first jobs I had was working in a day camp with kids. And
Okay.
we were going to do like, we'd go play sports and we'd go swimming and then we'd play dodgeball and all these different things. And I was like, wait a minute. So I'm getting paid to like play all these sports with kids and stuff. And they were like, yeah. And I was like, this is the best job ever, right? As like a
Right.
teenager and
Right.
whatnot. But I would say that at that moment is when something kind of like sparked in me of like, I enjoy working with kids. I enjoy working with youth. I like the energy that's there. That's kind of what started that journey. But then as I kind of like kept doing it, I just realized all the other beautiful things about being able to work with youth. So that's where it
All
started.
right. That's great. That's great. So think about this. So you play football?
Yeah. So growing up, I played baseball primarily, made the switch
Yeah.
when I was 15 and went to football and was able to, I really kind of like invested in that sport and was able to play college football back home. So that was kind of cool experience.
So from being a wide receiver at McGill, I hope I pronounced it right, McGill
Yeah.
University, to landing to my bad to leading the youth program. So how did that competitive mindset help you shape your approach to coaching and teaching?
That's a great question. Definitely playing at a higher level. I mean, it kind of gives me that mindset of like, what does it take to get there? First of all, with
Mm,
the players that I coach,
mm,
but I think also like I've been fortunate that kind of God's gifted me with the gift just of understanding that like it's just a game at the end of the day. It doesn't mean that you can't compete your butt off, right? But at the end of the day, we're human beings, and my goal is to try and help these kids or anyone who comes to next gen programs is to make them a better human being at the end of the day. I do believe that sports is a great way to do that, and that's why I love it, and I'm really passionate about it. But I would
mm.
say that, like I said, like your question in regards to like playing at the next level, it kind of helped me understand what does it take, and then like that balance of like once the game's over, like it's time to just relax, connect. Like I remember a lot of my family and friends would come watch my games, right?
Mm.
And they came just because they enjoyed watching me play. And that's
Right,
a
right,
lot how it is when we come and watch our family play and stuff like that.
right, right.
And so there's that element at once the last buzzer goes or the last whistle or the timer counts down and stuff where we need to be able to, in my personal opinion, just be able to be like, okay, well, I'm gonna put the athlete on the side right now and be back to being the son, the brother, the friend, and connect with those people who came to see you and spend time with you.
Well,
um
I'm sorry. I think that you're on point with that because I think a lot of kids these days really don't know their self outside of their sport, meaning that their identity is their sport, and it shouldn't be. It should be part of them, but it shouldn't be their only identity. And I don't think kids know how to separate the two, because if they
I
fail in
agree with
sports,
you.
their life is over. Like,
Yeah. And I would agree with you 100% with that. That's a great point. And now that you mentioned that's kind of into it. I remember there was a camp that I went with a organization called Athletes for Action, and they had a camp called National Training Camp (NTC), and I did it 2 years, and it's for like college students and whatnot. And they talk a lot about that, like, do we put our identity in our sport and stuff like that? Because once you get like a career-ending injury, or some like you're not winning or something like that shifts everything, like your value, your worth as a person, and we're so much more than just our sport. But that's tough because like there's a lot of pressure the more you go up the ranks and the more you get to like the collegiate level or whatever it is. Even in high school, I see it more and more these days compared to when I was a teenager. There's a lot of
right,
pressure on like high school students, man. And so that whole identity thing and the pressure it is, I think that's why, like, once again, I don't know if it's like a button or something, a switch. I'm able to switch it on and compete. Like, let's go, let's compete. But then
right,
after that, I'm able to turn that switch off and just, be me. And I think that's, I don't know necessarily how to teach that to the kids. I mean, we can speak about it, we can model it, but that's why I think also it's really important at the youth levels to like, and we'll probably get in and jump in and talk about some of that, but why
right,
at the youth level it's so important to teach them these things, that like identity, like their sport is not their identity. Like, we're here to have fun. Like
right, right,
it's, man, why do we play in the first place? To enjoy ourselves.
right.
Well, what changed somewhere along the line to make it where you're not, you get all that pressure and it's not as fun.
Right. So yeah, we're gonna get into all that a little later, because it's a question about that and how you deal with it. But that's one reason why I created my academy, is to help kids with those type of issues, confidence, leadership, and their mindset. You know what I mean? That's me coaching all these years. I had to help kids through that, and I said, kids really need this, because sports. If we say sports is 10% skill and 90% mental, why did we train the 10% more than we train the 90%? It don't make no sense, really, does it? Like, because
No,
no
not at
matter
all.
what, yeah. So no matter what type of skills I have, if I'm not mentally tough, when I got to produce those skills, I'm not going to succeed. Not at all.
100%. 100%.
100%.
And we do so much skill work, like you said, so much skill work, but the mental aspect of the game is huge. So yeah, I
Really.
agree.
So, why do you believe sports are one of the most powerful platforms to teach kids life skills?
I think it's just a microcosm of life in regards to sports. And so, like, you were talking about confidence, you're talking about leadership, you were talking about like teamwork, discipline, right? If I can start doing these things within whatever sport it is, and there's so many different opportunities, different
Mhm.
any lessons, like, how do I react when my teammate, you know, is hogging the ball? How do I
Right.
react when I dribbled the ball off my foot? How do I react when I'm down 20 points? So there's all these game situations that are like mini situations, right? That if I can learn how to handle these in a game, then
Mhm.
once I come to life, hopefully it's kind of like ingrained in me, or I've worked on, like, I can do this. I did this in basketball once, or I did this in baseball once. And it's kind of a similar thing. Like, I got to get up this morning and be disciplined to get my work done, or I got to work with this person at my job who's not always easy to work with. Well, if we can do that in a game situation, then my hope is that it will translate, and I do believe it translates to real life.
Yeah. When adversity comes, that's part of handling adversity. Like, and that's what sports teaches us, is how to handle with adversity. But on the back end question of that, these days, and again, we'll talk about this even more. These days, I think we coddle. I think a lot of parents coddle. You don't let their kids experience the adversity. They try to stop the adversity before their kids get to it, and it don't work out. It just don't, parents. It don't work out, parents. You better let them kids fail.
Yeah, and I would say like in every generation will probably say that because our parents used to say it too and stuff. But like I feel like they're not necessarily as tough as what it was when we were growing up. Like, oh, my generation was tougher, and da, da. But there are some things where we're not letting kids like fail. Like we see
Right.
fail as like a
A
terrible
bad
thing
thing.
that's going to cripple them for life.
Right.
But man, it's no different than like one of the first things we tell in our first week in our programs is we say it's okay to make mistakes.
Right.
We need to understand that that's okay. Like
Right.
some of us have been ingrained or said like we can't make mistakes. Well, no wonder you feel pressure all the time to be perfect. You
Exactly.
know what I mean?
Exactly.
So it's okay to make mistakes. Failures are going to happen. And what you do once you make that mistake, as soon as you made that mistake, the next action you take, the next response you take to that is going to say a lot about you as a person.
Person.
So
Yep.
we teach that a lot. And kids feel like it's a safe place to make mistakes, which is good.
Right.
We don't obviously say like we don't want to do that. We're not trying to
Right.
do that, but it's gonna
Right.
happen.
It's going to happen. It's a stat. I always tell kids that all the time. Like, why do you think a turnover is a stat? Because you're going to turn the ball over. It's
Yeah,
a stat. You're going to
it
turn.
is.
Why do they got missed field goals and made field goals? Because you're going to miss some shots. Like, it
Yeah,
is what it is. Like,
exactly.
that's it. And I also explain that. I say, so you got people out here making millions of dollars playing basketball. What makes you better than them? That they miss a lot of shots. And when you miss one shot, you're about to erupt and just like go hide in the corner somewhere. You're not even making
Yeah,
no money. And they are. And they missing shots. They should be the ones not missing shots. They're making millions of dollars to play a sport. That
absolutely.
they shouldn't be missing shots.
It's
That's how I try to. That's
putting
how
things
I
in
try to
perspective.
right put it in perspective and explain it to them. Like, do you think you turn the ball over? Like, this dude, imagine him turning the ball over and getting fined $1,000 every time he turn the ball over. How would that make you feel? Like,
Yeah,
so I just try to put stuff in perspective, man. So,
absolutely.
like me, having like a lot of other coaches out here, you wore a lot of hats. E-teacher, IMCA director, founder of Next Gen Sports. What's the common thread through all of that work?
Um, I'd say the common thread is the passion and the joy that I have working with youth. You know, if I look at all those ones, um, I would say that that's it. I just I love working with kids. I love their energy, and yeah, sometimes as we grow up, we kind of lose some of those things of the wonder
Yeah,
of being a kid. You know what I mean?
right. Right,
So
right. So you coach everything from basketball to flag football to ultimate frisbee, which I tried it. I'm a PE teacher right now too, and I'm like, should I do ultimate frisbee? But so what's one universal truth you've learned about coaching kids, no matter the sport?
whew, that's a good question, man. So regardless of the sport, when it comes to coaching, I would
One
say,
universal truth.
yeah, I'd say one universal truth is it really comes down to relationships. Doesn't matter
Uh-huh.
what sport.
Uh-huh.
Doesn't matter what sport, and it comes to like, do you care about the people you're teaching with? Do you care about the people you're coaching with, you're playing with? You know, it really comes down to for me. It comes down to that. Like it's big on relationship.
Yeah, I think so. I think so also. Like I was telling you earlier about, when I got my first group of girls, how they called me Coach Steve, and as we built that relationship, now it's just like they call me, "Hey Steve, how you doing?" You know what I'm saying, and then
Yeah.
stuff like that. And they come to my practices and help me out with the girls when they get there and stuff like that. So yeah, I think you're on point with that. I really think you're on point with that.
Yeah,
So talk.
there's some players. So I used to work at the Y, no longer work at the Y. That was one of
Uh-huh.
my jobs before. And Next Gen was founded like in 2022, so a couple years ago. But anyways,
Okay.
there are players that started with me at the YMCA
Uh-huh.
and like they were in kindergarten and now they're like in fifth or sixth grade. And so I've seen them like grow up. I've seen them, you know, develop and get better, not be able to do a left hand and do a left hand. And so there's something really cool about creating that connection and that relationship with all these different players and see them grow, you know.
Right, right. That's my reward. I tell everybody like I don't care about no trophies, none. I care about legacy, and I care about. I don't really care about what people think about me now because it don't matter. really. But when I'm gone, I want to make sure that I have a line of people that line up at my funeral to be able to say something great about me and what I left behind and how I helped them. I care about that more than I care about trophies.
Yeah.
That I can
Well,
care less
trophies are going
about.
to fade, right? Trophies are
Yeah,
going to fade, but the way you made someone feel,
right. It's gonna
right?
last forever.
Absolutely.
Gonna last forever. I'm telling you right now. I done won like 30 trophies when I was a youth basketball player. I don't know where none of them at.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know where. I could call my mom right now and be like, "Mom, where my trophies?" She'd be like, "Boy, I don't know. I don't know where none of them at."
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know where
Absolutely.
none of them at. So, tell us about your early basketball development programs for preschoolers and kindergartners, and what makes it different, and what does it even matter?
It's a good question. So our youngest program here is called Little Dribblers.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes kindergarten to about second grade. Um, and I'd say the main thing we focus on with the kids like is fundamentals. Man, I can't stress how much fundamentals is so important, and
Yes.
it's often overlooked. And I've seen it with the kids who, once again, have worked with us and kind of continued in our program. How
Mm-hmm.
they're already like a little step ahead. And then
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I'll see like a fifth grader who's never played and they just join in, and you can clearly see that they might be athletic, but some of the fundamentals are there. And if they're not athletic, then it's like it's a bit of a challenge. I mean, obviously we can still work with them and help them out, but
Mm-hmm.
um, yeah, we're big on fundamentals, jump stop, like just something as simple as that, to
Jeez,
eliminate travels. Yeah, like
you talking about my practice yesterday.
there you go.
Oh my gosh, man! I had to break jump stop, and this are middle school girls. I had to break jump stops, and I tell them all the time to jump stop, land on two, and I show them. I had to break that down so much yesterday. I had to break it down to like the first step of jump stop, and I'm like, this is what I need you to do. So I just
Yeah,
had them bounce the ball, jump stop in front, take a bounce, jump stop in front, all the way up to the half court, and then come back and do it again. And then I had to put them back in the drill. You know what
yeah,
I mean? I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, we're
and
not one
sometimes
two stepping.
yeah, and sometimes you got to break it back down to that. Like
Yeah.
that's why I would say for me as a coach, like I'm more of a like I also have that PE teacher background, right? So I'm gonna break it down to you
Mhm.
as well,
Right.
and so yeah, and footwork is huge for us because that's going to eliminate a lot of problems when it comes to travels and different things like that. Like everyone wants to be fancy right now, like shooting off one foot and stuff like that. And we see all these things at the WNBA, NBA level, right? But
Mhm.
to get there, they did a lot of work before they did all that kind of
Yeah, for
fancy
they
stuff.
right, they for they do all
The
that stuff.
fancy.
Right.
Yeah, so we're
Right.
big on fundamentals over fancy.
Yeah, I was about to put a kid out the gym yesterday because after I coached my girls, the boys side one of the coaches ain't show up, so I told the director I coach him, and his little kid was doing fancy stuff, and I said, "Little boy, listen, we don't do no fancy stuff in here. I'm about to put you out the gym. Like you take that fancy stuff somewhere else. We ain't." I said, and guess what? Every time you did something fancy, guess what you did? You like what? You turned the ball over. I said,
Yeah.
so make that make sense for me.
Yeah.
So he stopped doing fancy stuff, and I said, see, when you stop doing fancy stuff and you just play basketball, that's what happens.
Absolutely. It looks great on a highlight reel, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah,
the number, like you said, the efficiency of it actually working. And then, like, you need to get at a certain level before you start doing that. Because, like, Doncic or whoever, like, when they're doing their stuff, they
uh
practice that stuff. Kobe practiced that
yeah.
stuff, like, for
A
hours.
thousand times, yeah,
Yeah, so it's not like
yeah,
you just saw it once on a social media reel and was like, "Let me try this out." And then,
right,
especially in a game, I'm like, "How many times
right.
have you practiced it?" You know what I mean? We have a hard time making our shots off 2 feet, and then you're gonna shoot off 1 foot. I'm
For
just
one
like,
foot. Yeah.
but yeah,
I tell my kids the same story about my summertime. Like, my friend told me I couldn't play basketball. And I said, I sucked. I was a great quarterback when I was young, but I was sucked at basketball. And I just went away for the summer with my cousins, and we just played basketball all day on a milk crate. And that's how I got better. But
yeah,
what I also used to do was I used to watch Magic Johnson, right? So I would go outside, just me on a basketball court, and I would just practice like everything he did. I would just practice it with nobody there. I bounce the ball behind my back, and it'll hit the gate. It'll hit the gate. So I know how to bounce behind my back and make it go somewhere else based off of angles. So I used to practice angle passing, and that's how I got good at being a real good point guard by watching him and then going outside by myself and practicing angle passes and throwing it behind my back and no look passes. And I just in the game I'm able to do that in a real game because I
Because you
practiced it for
practiced
so long.
it.
Right, because
Because
I
you
practiced it for
practiced
so
it.
long. Right,
Yeah.
right. All right. So you mentioned teamwork, sportsmanship a lot in your programs, right? So how do you reinforce those values with young kids who are just learning the game?
So when we start off in our programs, especially with the little ones,
Uh,
we've kind of created a culture at Next Gen, which has been great. You know, like I said, like it's okay to make mistakes. So we're coming in and understanding that's a safe environment for me to not have to be perfect. Some pressure's off, right? We
right,
encourage the kids to have fun. Um, and then the other thing I'd say is we talk about respect and kindness, right? Can we compete without being like a mean person, so to
right,
speak?
right,
Right. And
right,
it's
right.
tough because some sports are more contact sports and you have to have some kind of level of aggression a little bit or
That's it.
whatever you want to call it. So can you like it's not always easy. But once again, I believe there's a way to compete without being like a mean, awful human being, so to speak. You know what I mean?
Right, 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 right,
Sometimes we think competition has to be like, I don't know, fighting or whatever. Anyways, so we tell them, yeah, so there's no making fun of someone when they mess up
right,
in our
right,
environment.
right,
Like I tell my coaches, if we see that, you got to tell them right away. Like obviously in a respectful manner, but we're not going to
right,
do that
right.
because unfortunately we live in a society where it's easy to put people down,
Uh-huh.
right? And ridiculous them or criticize them or all that kind of stuff. So it takes effort to build people up.
Right.
It's not like it's way easier to tear someone down than it is to build them up, in my opinion. It's just like when you make a Jenga, it takes you forever to put the Jenga up. It
Right,
takes
right.
one piece to knock it all the way down, right?
Man, look, oh, go ahead. I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead.
Go ahead, Shannon. Oh,
I was just gonna say, so we are big on creating that culture, right? So that they can develop, the skills for the confidence and the teamwork and stuff like that. The other thing I would say, so then we understand that our words have power, right? And so are we using like
uh-huh.
good job, nice try, all those kinds of things. And then I'd say the other thing is we're big on high fives and fist bumps and pats on the back. I saw an interesting video about Steve Nash, who
Right.
they calculated the number of times that he like gave high fives and stuff like that, and the
Uh-huh.
power that it like what it actually does to your teammates and to players and
Inmates.
to other people when you're doing that kind of like stuff. And so we're really mindful of that type of encouragement and that type of like, are we fostering and creating that type of culture so
Right.
that once again, mistakes are going to happen, but we're in this place where we're not going to make fun of each other and we're going to encourage each other and we're going to, cheer each other on.
Right. So I've seen this perfect example of that. As far as lifting somebody up and pulling somebody down on Instagram. It was this guy, it was an older guy, and he was talking to this young lady, and her parents was there. And so he was like, get up on the chairs. So I think he got up on the chair or she got up on the chair, one of them. And he was like, all right, pull me up. And she couldn't pull him up the chair. So he said, all right, now we're going to reverse. So I'm going to pull you down. So he pulled her down. He said, see how easy it took me to pull you down, but how harder it took you to pull me up? Like you said, it's easier to pull somebody down and it's harder to bring somebody up. You see what
Absolutely.
I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
and I
just like
think
you were
once
saying.
again, I think to your point, like it comes back to some identity stuff, right? It's like
Mm-hmm.
I want to go at the top of the ladder or the top of the mountain so that people can say, "Wow, you're so amazing" or whatever, right? Because there's value to that. So if I put other people down and I go up the ladder and push, like everyone's gonna be like, "Great," like look at Coach Tim or look at whoever, right?
Right.
But I think that if we're okay with understanding that our value and identity is not necessarily in our performance, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then it doesn't matter. Like I don't need to put people down to make myself feel good. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right. Right.
And then I can just freely, play, freely live and, encourage and just know that even if they're better than me, well, so be it. It doesn't mean that they're like, let's say they're better than me in basketball
Right.
doesn't take away from me or anything like that. You know what I mean? And it's tough as a teenager to like
Right.
understand that. real
Right.
tough because we base so much our identity, man, on our performance.
And
So,
social media.
oh yeah, yeah.
And social
I didn't
media.
have to deal like I didn't have to deal with that as a teenager, so
Yeah, me either.
I
Me
don't know how
either.
they do it.
I had to talk to the boys about that yesterday. About you got to sacrifice, and one of the sacrifices you got to do is stay off of social media, trying to compare yourself to everybody else, because
Absolutely.
everybody's journey is different. I said, and half the time the stuff is fake anyway. So,
Yeah.
like,
Well, it's a
yeah,
highlight reel, right? It's hard
right.
to compare yourself to a highlight reel.
To a highlight reel, like to compare yourself to me watching somebody life for 30 seconds. Like, come on.
Right.
So you talked a lot about coaching the whole kid,
Hmm.
physically, mentally, emotionally, right? So what does that look like in action from day to day?
Well, physically, I mean, in our field, it would be the skill, right?
Uh-huh.
So we're teaching them the skills. Depending on what program or what it is and stuff, like we can also, help them teach a little bit on nutrition or, just
Uh-huh.
healthy habits and stuff like that, obviously.
Right.
When it comes to like mentally and emotionally, well, one of the things that's really important for us at Next Gen, and one of our values is character, right? So
Uh-huh.
we're huge on that. So it just makes me sad a lot when I'm seeing like these youth level coaches who are just so focused on winning. Like
Winning.
in
Right.
third grade and fourth grade, like that's all you're focused on. And
Winning.
I'm
Put them
like,
in the zone.
I feel, yeah, sorry. I feel like we're doing a disservice to the kids when we're doing that.
Right.
And oddly enough, that maybe comes back to the identity thing because, like, as a parent coach or whoever coach, whatever that matter,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
we value ourselves. And, if you look at the NBA coaches, WNBA coaches, whatever, we look at what? Winning and losing, right?
Right.
NCAA, you lose, you got a couple losing seasons,
You're
you get
gone.
fired, right?
Right.
So, and I'm breaking it back down to like, well, I think that's why you'd be so focused on winning because like it gives you some kind of value, or I don't know what, but I think that if we really want to help the kids, we're gonna focus on teaching them like the skills for them to get better themselves. Like
Uh-huh.
don't focus so much on the scoreboard. And I know it's tough.
Right.
I know it's tough, and it makes it sound like I'm not this guy. Trust me, my parents could probably vouch for it. My dad could vouch for it.
Uh-huh.
I'm a competitive guy. Like I'll go
Right.
out there and I will try and win. Do everything I can. I'll lay it all on the line. I'll give 100%.
But that's
But
winning. That's winning though.
yeah, right. But some people don't see that. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I'm with you, man. Can we define a little
Proof.
bit what it is winning? So that's a good point, and it brings it back to like mentally and emotionally, right?
Uh-huh.
So teaching these lessons of like, okay, you lost, but man, were you flying around out there? Were you giving your best, right? Did were you respectful to the referees and to the opponent while still trying to compete to the best of your ability? Yes.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Well, like for me, like I'll tell that to my players all the time, especially with our AAU teams. I'll say like, man, like that's a win in our books. We went out there, we all laid it on the line, right?
Uh-huh.
What can you ask more?
Yeah,
You
yeah,
can't
you
really
can.
ask more than doing all that. You know what I mean?
So, somebody gotta lose. Like, so how are you going to lose? Because somebody gotta lose the game. If I'm competing against somebody, one of us gotta lose. So how are you going to lose the game? And this is what I explain to my girls also. Sorry. Ouch. This is what I explain to my girls also. And I'm a high school coach. And I tell them, yo, I can care less. I want to win a state championship because I want it for y'all. But I can care less about winning and losing. What I care about more is how we win and how we lose. I say we can win, and we can beat a team and blow them out, but we don't turn the ball over, we joking around. I'm not happy with that win. We can lose to a team, but out there busting our tail, diving on the floor, and we lose by 50. But we was diving on the floor. I'm okay with that loss. I'm okay with
I
that
agree.
loss.
I like that. I like
Right.
that. You're
So
right.
right. So it. I do care about you winning because we want to win games, but
Of
I care
course.
more about how we win and I care more about how we lose. A bad win, I don't like. A good loss, I like.
Yeah. Because I feel like you learn more in a good loss
Right.
than in a bad win, but I could be wrong. But I'll tell you from personal experience, I've learned way more from losing than
Than I did from
from
winning.
winning.
Yeah.
And
See
so
me.
we're trying to teach the kids like when you talk about emotionally and mentally, um, like one of the big things we'll teach is like life is hard, right?
Mhm.
And so how can we handle hard better, you know? And I remember there was a coach that talked about that too, and that really stuck with me because life is hard. So pick what hard you want,
Right.
right?
Right. Right.
So like yeah,
So.
it's not going to be easy, but if we can give them the tools,
Mhm.
right, to handle hard better, man, I'm
Mhm.
all for it. And mentally there's all these different things, and emotionally too, right? And when you build
Right.
that trust with your players, and they know that it's a safe spot and you care about them more than
Mhm.
just them as a basketball player, they'll
Right.
be a lot more, I feel, in tune to like receptive to what you have to say when it comes to the character stuff, when it comes to
Mhm.
the emotional stuff, when it comes to the
Mhm.
mental stuff.
Right, right, right. Perfect, perfect, perfect. So we talked about, winning at all costs type of people. So
Mm.
how do you deal with the pressure of parents or outsiders who care more about wins than development?
That's a good question, man. I'm fortunate that at Next Gen, like from the day we started, we are very like um clear about what our expectations are of our programs and what kind of culture we're trying to create. And so
Uh-huh.
I feel like the people that have come on board or have seen that, like they notice there's something there. You know what I mean? Like we've
Right.
never had really an issue with a parent um uh like yelling at any of our programs or getting upset or stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
Now, our programs are very, I would say, like recreational. Like think about it like
Right.
a rec league back in the day, like the
Right.
YMCA, you know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
So I feel like, and I could be wrong, but I've been listening to that. I feel like rec leagues are dying. Like they're
It is.
they're getting extinct. Now everyone is AAU and everyone is, all these different things. But what happened to just going playing on a Saturday with your buddies and not, caring so much and like those were some of the best moments, and that's what's allowing kids to enjoy sports. And I want them to be able to play even, as long as they can, even if they don't make college. You know what I mean? But it's
Right.
like, once again, like that pressure is like, well, like there's this crazy statistic about people dropping off in regards to sports in high
Entertainment.
school and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
70%.
yeah, we, yeah,
70% of
we need,
kids drop out of sports.
yeah. And like, then there's the statistic of like who makes it in college and who makes it as a pro. And I think it's like less than 3% or might
1%.
even be less than 1%. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So like when I'm coaching, I'm teaching, my goal is not to make you a professional. My goal is for you to enjoy what you're doing, to help you get
Mm-hmm.
better, but also to
Uh-huh.
create this hopefully lifelong love for it and for
Right.
physical activity and for
Activity.
health and wellness. And like you said, like
Right.
overall health, maybe it's mental, maybe it's
Right.
emotional, maybe it's physical. Once again, using the platform of sports, which sports is awesome because it allows us to stay in shape too for those that stick with it.
Yeah. So one thing I tell my people is that you don't realize that the kids that don't go to the WNBA, most of these people that play sports in life are running Fortune 500 companies. That's what's going on. That's what sports help you with. And I also tell them, I said, all right, so if you go on a job interview and on your application it has that you play football, basketball, whatever, and there's another person on the application that haven't played no sport, but they might be a little bit more skilled or have more experience than you. Guess who want to get that job? And the majority of the time, the person that had all of the sports and stuff on their what's the name, but had um less job skill than that person did. And here's the reason why: as you playing sports, and the job is the same way. You got to learn how to be great teammates. So when you want a job, you're part of a team. If you've never been part of a team, I'm going to be worried about hiring you. If you've never been part of a team, it's going to be hard for me to say, okay, I need you here because you do not know how to deal with other people. You don't know how to handle adversity with other people. You don't know how to collaborate with other people. None of that stuff. So I wouldn't hire you. But if I
Yeah.
seen that you played basketball your whole doggone life, and even do all through high school and stuff like that, that's telling me that you're a great teammate, or you can be a great teammate. So
Yeah.
I explain that to my kids too, like, oh, don't basketball is not the all and all of be all. It's other things in sports that you can do as far as basketball or whatever sports you play. It can be behind the scenes, ages. It's not being on the court is not the end all to be all. It's
Absolutely.
not. If you love a sport and you're not gonna make it on, be an analyst, and things like that. Go behind the scenes and help
Yeah.
people out, like and stuff like that. So that's how I
And they
really.
and they may not even see, you know, they might not even realize all the benefits of them, in the youth sports if they're in a good program and all their experience. They might only realize it like later on. You
Right
know what I
on.
mean?
Hmm.
But it's good for us to remind them and let them know for sure.
Right. So, what roles does mentorship play in helping kids go from unsure to unstoppable?
So say that again. How's like the mentorship?
Yeah, what role does mentorship play in helping kids go from unsure to unstoppable?
Hmm. I think when I hear like unsure and unstoppable, I don't think necessarily unstoppable like on the court physically. Could be though.
Hmm.
Could be.
Hmm.
But I see an unstoppable of like the confidence.
Right,
That's what I hear from
exactly.
unsure to
Hmm.
unstoppable. There's
Hmm.
something that clicks in the player's mind where they're like, I couldn't do this before
Hmm.
and now I can do it. And I
Right,
love as a coach when that happens.
right,
Um,
right.
I'll give an example. Left hand layup is a classic for us, for all
Uh-huh,
our like right handers, and I guess I should say opposite hand layup. But in this case,
uh-huh,
I've seen so many kids who couldn't do it, and then they've worked at it, and they've worked at it, and they practice. And I said, hey, just stick with it. It's not going to happen overnight. You're going to have to work for it, and then at some point, they get it right. And it's crazy how something clicks in them because they were like, I couldn't do something before, and
uh-huh.
now I can do it and I did it on my own. Yeah, there was help with coach telling me what to do and what, but I did it on my own and I
Right,
got there. And then they just build that little like that muscle, that confidence muscle. And it gets bigger
uh-huh.
and bigger the more those kinds of scenarios and situations happen. And I love seeing that as a coach for sure. And I think that the more that muscle gets stronger, the more they become unstoppable.
Yeah, and that's one thing I mentioned when I'm talking to kids about my program and how to build confidence. Confidence is a skill now. Is a skill. It has to be taught. And just like you said, and I love that, like what you said. And I'm gonna use it. I'm telling you right now, I'm gonna steal it from you. That confidence is a muscle. You got to build it like you building your muscle.
Absolutely.
But it's a real skill now. I think when I was coming up, we was just so confident because we was outside more. So when I saw a fence, I was so confident I could jump over that fence
Yeah, yeah.
because I did it so many times. So like I was so confident. Okay,
Yeah. But here's the thing too, because we mentioned earlier that a little bit more in today's society, we are keeping kids from failing, right? And so because we're not allowing for them to do that, I feel like sometimes whenever they do fail, like their confidence just
it's
gets like
just shot.
obliterated or shattered, right?
Mhm,
Whereas if it was more of a okay, you fail, it's not the end of the world, right? We bounce
mhm,
back.
mhm.
Then your confidence doesn't take such a big hit. You're like,
Yeah,
oh, I can bounce back after. You know what I mean?
right.
And then you keep, like I said, learning more things and even there's learning through failure. And then so that's how I feel like that confidence muscle can get bigger too. But if we're not allowing the kids to like make mistakes and fail, well, I don't know. I just feel like it affects their confidence in a way that's not beneficial.
But I don't know what happens between the baby years to the adolescent years. Because here's why. As a baby, we let our kids fail. They try to walk and they fall. We just like get up, you can do it, you can do it. You know what I mean? We tell them
Yeah,
don't touch the socket. They won't touch the socket, but it's things like that, like a kid that put, come on, you got this, get up. You know what I'm saying? So every
absolutely.
time they get up and fall on that bottom again, they fail. But we gotta allow our kids to be like that, sort of like a baby. A baby
Yeah,
will try a lot of stuff and they will keep on failing and then try it again, fail, try it again, fail, try it again. Right? And we be
absolutely.
like, good, you did it, you did it, you did it. Now they miss a shot. We get and all that
Yeah,
stuff. The kid was just trying to learn how to walk. Like, and you ain't say nothing every time. It ain't get up, get up. You better learn how to walk. You know what I mean? So, like you
right.
said, we have to let our kids fail, and in order for them to grow and become more confident and prove
Yeah,
that they can do it. Because you're a kid, not Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
Michael Jordan's mother even told him when he came home and got cut, she like, what you want me to do? You want me to go to the school and talk to the coach? I ain't doing that. So what you
Yeah.
think you should do? Go
Yeah.
outside and practice so you can get better for next year. That's
Absolutely.
what you need to
I
do.
mean,
I'm not
you can't
right,
beat hard work, right? You
right.
can't like I think once again, like in this new, I don't know what you want to call it, but way of thinking, there's a lot of entitlement, right? There's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of like this is owed to me, but man, we got to work for everything, right? We got to work
Everything.
for everything. And I
Mm-hmm.
think also with some of our parents, um, it's a question of like let them fail on their own in the sense of
Right,
like, and it's tough, man. You just gotta let go. It's tough sometimes, but like so many times in a game, I hear parents like pass, shoot,
right,
doing that,
right,
like do all these different things, man. And I often tell them if I can, I'm like, hey, let them make their own decisions, right?
right.
This is the thing. I get that, like, if it was a big life thing, I get it. Maybe let's sit
Mm-hmm.
down and you want to give them advice and counseling, go
Right,
for it. Like, I think
right,
there's wisdom in that. But in a
right,
situation where it's like a pickup basketball game, 3-on-3, and you're telling your kid to shoot all the time, and then they just go like that. Yeah, I know, dude. I just like, hey, give them the opportunity to make their choices. If it's the
right.
wrong choice, it's not fatal. Like they
Nope.
can learn from that, and it doesn't change anything. Like all these things are tied in. They all have an
Right,
effect on each other, and so that's
right.
why I'm like, why aren't we stressing more importance on that? Like we're doing so much skill work, I get it, but like can
Mhm.
we teach them some other stuff like making decision making, like proper communication, like confidence, like we
Correct.
named a
Right.
ton, but yeah.
Hey, so I started doing that with my practice because I had parents like that, and it was just like, yo, can y'all? I'm about to put y'all out the gym. Can y'all be quiet? Like, let your kid thug on. I got this one parent, and he's a nice guy, but his daughter only been playing basketball for 3 years. When I
Mhm.
first got it, was in my 3-and-3 league, and she couldn't play basketball with nothing. And I'm not going to take the credit for it because he did a lot of job. He worked out with her a lot and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Hmm.
But he wants her to be perfect, and I tell her to tell him a lot of times that I'm doing my best. Like, what more do you want from me? She's my leading scorer. She scores 18 points a game. Like, what more do you want from this girl? Like,
Yeah.
so we fell off a little bit because I told him like, yo, y'all making too much noise, and it ain't coming from me because I blocked y'all out. It's coming from your kids. When we
Mm.
have our mental meetings, and one of the questions is what disturbs you the most, those kids say our parents.
Yep. Yep.
Our parents
That's the pressure.
is yeah, we trying to listen to you, but then our parents is telling us I do this and do this and do that. So we really can't focus because they're saying so much. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
when I address them about that, it's just like, well, no, it ain't like I tell the girls all the time, don't look at your parent. If you do, I'm taking you out the game. Like I'm
I
taking you out the
know.
game. Focus on me.
I
Don't
know.
listen to them because if you do the wrong
Yeah.
thing because they said do it, then I'm taking you out the game. I'm sorry.
Absolutely.
That's
I've
just how it's gonna
definitely, I've
be. That's just how it's gonna be.
definitely been there too.
Yeah, it's just sometimes. So I mean, we understand. We understand. Parents, we love you, but
For sure.
sometimes you just need to. Sometimes you just need to just let it go, let it go, and
Yeah.
it actually
Oh
works.
yeah, for
So
sure. And sometimes we gotta have that tough conversation, with the parents. It's
right,
not always easy.
right,
You know what I mean?
oh,
But
yeah,
absolutely, they gotta be able to let go too.
right. So what actually works? So what I started doing more in practice was playing 3-on-3, like you said, little side games, and then I this is what I tell my players: do the best play, whatever, make the best decision. And if I see that you don't make the best decision, I'm not going to get on you. Just going to ask you one question. What was you thinking? Let me know what was you thinking and let me know what you were saying so I can help you through that and be like, nah, so what else did you see? All right, I did, okay. Or I'd be like, well, that was a good play, but you took too long. It's no longer there, so now you turn the ball over. You just gotta see it faster. So they were like,
Yeah,
all right, so now I just say, all right, 3-on-3, boom, boom, boom. You can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do that, but make the right play. And I let them play now.
absolutely,
And then I
absolutely.
stop. When they turn the ball over, what did you see? Oh, I seen this and that. Okay, great. What you gonna do next time? All right, next time I'll do this, and all right, great. Go ahead, start again. You know what I
And
mean?
that's how they learn. That's how they learn on
Right,
their own, right?
right. And they're getting
So
better. I can see it. I see it. I
yeah.
see it.
But see, you have that teacher kind of side to it as well, right? So once
Right.
again, some of these parents that, I do get that they're trying to help. A lot of parent coaches, trying to help out.
Uh-huh.
And it's not always easy to find coaches. So I'm never gonna like um get on them for
Right.
that, man. Like, you're trying to help out. You're giving of your time. So respect, right?
Right.
But at the same time,
Right.
I'm saying to myself, maybe in our programs, can we, because I think one of the things I'm thinking about maybe in this next year is maybe to do a free clinic for all the parent coaches in the area, some at the youth
Yep.
level, and be like, hey, here are some of the things that we've implemented in our programs that we felt have been beneficial to the kids, and you can take it or leave it.
Uh-huh.
Like, you know what I mean? And if, because we do have more of a like teacher type approach to it, right? There's a
Right.
learning
Uh-huh.
approach to it, right?
Oh,
So
sure.
it's
Mm-hmm.
not just, and hopefully maybe some of those parents that are just so focused on winning, can get a
Right.
couple tools in their belt of like, well, here's some skill development stuff and help them to learn. And man, when parents are like, man, my kid got better, man, for me, that's a win.
That's
Like,
everything. That's the one.
that's all, that's what we're about here, and building that confidence and stuff like that. So for sure.
Yeah. That is a great one. When I hear that, I'm like, cool. I love that's all I'm here for, to get your kid better. And
Yeah, so
and
I think
and
we
that's
might try
it.
and do that. I think we might try and do that. Like, to do like
I
a
think that's a
free clinic
wonderful idea.
for parent coaches, because
Right.
sometimes we fault them, but at the same time, man, they're trying their best too, man. So can we give them the
Right.
tools? I think is what I'm kind of coming at. You know what I mean?
I think that's a great idea for any parent that want to coach. Because what I do for my coaches that have come to coach with me, I train them. Everything that I know, they gotta sit down. I send it to, like, one thing that I use is PGC, right?
Yeah,
And I run the read and react, and I run the read and react offense. So all my coaches have to learn that offense. They have to learn how to
yeah.
run that offense. And then after you learn how to run it, you can do anything else you want with it. But the core has to be that, right? Because it teaches kids how to play basketball.
Hmm.
But they go through training. And anybody that coaches me, you have to go through training. That's just it. If it's just you standing beside me while I'm coaching and see what I'm doing, that's fine. If that's what it's going to be. But I try my best to train every coach that I ever coached. I had a dude that ain't never know how to coach basketball. His daughter was playing, and I was like, "Do you want to coach?" And he was like, "Yeah." I said, "All right, this is what you got to do. Boom, 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 boom." He learned how to coach in 1 year and became a really good coach
Absolutely.
because he won. Yeah. So, all right, let's get to the fun fire round.
Oh, okay.
Fun fire round. All right, Coach Tim. Look, it's time for the fun fire round. First thought,
Okay.
best thought. All right. Favorite sport to coach and why?
Flag football, because I played football growing up, and I just love it. It just reminds me back of when I used to play.
Okay. All right. All right. Great, great, great. You sport myth you wish we could cancel.
And that winning is all about the scoreboard.
Okay. Great, great, great. Best moment you've ever seen from a youth athlete.
Man, that's tough. I've seen a lot of them. But I would say it was a girl who was in a program with us for 8 weeks.
Uh-huh.
I think she was in like 4th or 5th grade, and we were on a 10-foot hoop because we couldn't really adjust them. And she
Uh-huh.
didn't make one shot all year. Like, we did drills and stuff, and every time she would shoot, it wouldn't even get up to the net.
Wow.
And I thought that she would maybe give up and, maybe leave the program or something. And we would continue to encourage her. And on the last day of the program, I think we were playing some knockout game or something like that. And she made her first shot ever. And everyone
Wow.
got super excited. So I don't know. That's just something that's ingrained in here of like, she persevered that whole time, man.
Whole time.
And she missed and missed and missed and missed and kept shooting. And it just goes to show that, like, don't give up, don't give
Right.
up, keep trying. So,
All
yeah,
right, shoot.
Yeah.
Shoot, that's great. That's a great story. So, if you could bring one pro athlete to your gym for the kids, who's showing up?
One pro athlete. Man, I mean, who wouldn't want to bring Michael Jordan?
Right,
You know
Michael
what I mean?
Jordan, right?
Yeah.
Right, right. Okay.
But
Okay.
there's
Yeah.
definitely some other there, so it's tough.
I would love to bring Shaq because of his personality.
Yes, I was thinking like who would be a great, like I'm sure Michael would be good, but like who would be also good, like who's got great character at the NBA WNBA level. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
unfortunately,
Mhm.
I can't bring Draymond. You know, that just wouldn't work.
He's ready to fight.
But
He's ready to fight the
but I'm trying to
kids.
think who's a class act player, you know what I mean, who I'd want to bring. So I don't know. There's a lot out there. It's hard to narrow it to one, you know. I
Yeah,
think Kobe would be good too, to be honest.
right, right. Yeah, Kobe be real good. But because of his personality and how he deal with people, and I've been watching him lately, Shaquille O'Neal would probably be a good one for me just because of his personality and
Oh,
how
for
he's
sure.
real,
He's
how he
he
would.
loves the kids too, man.
Right, right, right. He goes places by himself. Like, so I think he'd be a good one for me. All right, so one phrase every coach should say more often.
Ooh, who before do?
Who before do? Okay,
Who?
explain that. Explain that one.
So so for us, we say who before do because it's more important who you are as a person
Uh-huh.
than what you do as a player. So like if you're focusing on being a hard worker, on being a good listener, on being a good teammate, on all these different things, like who you are as a person, it's going to
Right.
automatically translate into what you do, regardless of what it is. Once again, off the court or on the court. So we like to say who before do. There's one thing that we say at Next Gen, and we say who before do. So what that means to us is, man, what is most important for us is who you are as a person before what you do as a person. And I'm really, really convinced with all my heart that if you focus on the who, like what type of person you want to be, then the do will take care of itself. Whether it's basketball, whether it's school, like doing school well or doing like basketball well, or whatever job you decide to do later, whatever profession you pick, all those things will take care of itself. I really believe that if you focus first and foremost on who you want to be as a person.
Oh, I like that. Man, I'm about to steal some of your gems, man. I like that. I like that. Yeah. We got workouts, high school workouts next week too. Yeah, I might steal that. I like that.
Yeah,
I like
do
that.
it,
All
do
right,
it.
man. Great fun fire round. Great fun fire round. The most important question of the day, the underdog impact question that I ask everybody that ever comes onto my underdog voice podcast. So, Coach Tim, you work with thousands of kids over the years. So when you think about the underdogs, the quiet ones, the overlooked ones, what does it mean to you to help them rise? And what does being an underdog mean in your world?
Well, I love underdogs, first of all. So like yeah, man, I'm all about the underdog mentality. I'm all about being an underdog because no one thinks you're gonna win,
Right.
right? And then you come in there like the Cinderella stories, man, and March Madness. Like I love that stuff,
I
man.
love it.
You know,
Yes.
there's a lot of stories like Disney movies that are like underdog stories and stuff like that, like Remember the Titans or whatever it is. Like
Mhm.
there's something about us in our character as human beings that like there's just something that like when we hear an underdog story, we're like, yeah, like you know what I mean? Like I want that, you know what I mean? Or like
Mhm.
we're rooting for them,
We're
you
rooting
know?
for 'em. Right.
And so absolutely. And so I would say to all the underdogs on there, man, just keep doing you, man. Just keep being a hard worker and keep doing you. And it's not like the underdogs ever tried to do something different. In the stories, they're always
Mhm.
themselves. You know what I mean?
Right.
And they just
Mhm.
never give up. And there's just this fighters type mentality, this warriors type mentality where like fighting against adversity, fighting against negativity, fighting against, and that's a daily grind, man. That's a
Yeah.
daily grind. And so if you can develop that underdog, like, hey, I'm never going to give up. I'm just going to give it all I got. Man, it's hard for me to think that there's not something good that's going to come out of
Gonna
it.
come out of it. Right, right. That's
Yeah.
great, man. I love that. I love that. That is so great. All right, Coach. So tell everybody where they can follow you at. Tell them where they can check out
Yeah.
Next Gen at and things like that.
For sure. I appreciate that. Yeah. So We're in the Beaver County like area. That's like the greater area, Pittsburgh area. If anyone
Uh-huh.
wants to like come check out our programs and what. So there's main things I would say is like our website, which is www.ngsr.us.
And I'll put that in
So
the description, in the podcast description, so when people come on, they can check that out. They can check
I
that link out.
appreciate that. Yeah, and then obviously Facebook and Instagram with Next Gen Sports and Rec, and you can follow us on there.
All right, guys, listen. I want y'all to answer this and then, drop it below. What was the one lesson you learned from a coach that stuck with you for life? Got it? So drop that below. And I probably would spotlight the real ones. All right, listen, my underdog people. Whether he's teaching a 5-year-old to pivot or mentoring a teen on leadership, Coach Tim is proof that sports can shape lives, not just win games. Coaches like this, that's what keeps the future bright. I'm Coach Q, and that's Coach Kim. I mean, Tim, I said Kim, look at my
You're good.
Let's do that over. I'm Coach Q, and that's Coach Tim. And guess what? We're out.
Take care.
See, that was an hour on the dot.